Hi there, today we're going to be looking at fixings into plasterboard. We've got a wall here, plasterboard wall, and we need to know particularly which type of fixing we can buy from a shop for that particular wall. Two questions that you need to ask. Firstly, how big is the cavity behind that wall, and how is the wall being built if there is a cavity. I've got a selection of breeze blocks here, metal stud wall, timber stud wall, battened out block wall, and we've got a dot and dab wall. This selection of fixings, similar sort of types, the folding toddle bolts, which you'll all be familiar with. This is a snap toddle that's become quite popular in the marketplace at the moment. You'll all be familiar with Grip It, that's a 25mm fixing, and the 20mm. There's quite a lot of fixings of this sort of nature where you actually squeeze and feed that through 13mm hole, and then the screw pulls this back in to lock this in place. This is a new T-bolt from Jordan Dakin, who was the original inventor of the Grip It. This is the Helter Skelter pigtails, known to many. This just screws straight into a plasterboard. I must admit, I never ever use these, and anybody that's ever tried them will know they absolutely fail. These are for really holding a very, very light picture. I can pull one of these out literally with my little finger. And you've got the expansion bolts, or brolly bolts as they're known in the marketplace. So basically what happens is drill a hole, usually 12 to 13mm, and this concertina's in, and you finish up with this sort of effect behind the plasterboard. They're not a bad fixing. This is another sort of variety of the collapsible fixing. So you basically squeeze this, feed that through the hole, and then it pulls back and locks in place. Then we go to G-Fix, who claim to be one of the world's strongest fixings, but actually they're not. This is a very, very oversized, you look at it as a comparison, sort of ridiculous fixing. Let's make it bigger to make it better. It doesn't always work. It's very, very expensive, and it's very, very difficult to get in round tight spaces. And then obviously I'm going to talk about Bullfix. So the Bullfix Extra, this is a long finger version. This can crawl into sort of 19-20mm cavities. And then we've got the short Universal Bullfix fixing. This is fantastic. Now this fixing will actually outperform most of these other fixings on cantilever loading, and it will actually go into all the different types of cavity wall. With G-Fix, we've got to actually feed this, drill a hole and actually feed this fixing, and if I, just as I'm feeding that through, bend that as far as it'll go, it will only just go into the 60mm cavity there. So you can see that if we then bring that same fixing with a 19mm cavity, there's no way that you're going to be able to feed that through that wall. And not only are they expensive, but that's just not going to work. So yeah, G-Fix may be alright for just standard metal stud walls or wooden stud walls, but very, very expensive. They take quite a long time to fix, so they're not really on top of my list for fixing. We're going to toddle bolts, and although that's a larger hole, I wanted to show you something from top. And as you can see, for that to work, that's got to travel a long way before that flips open. So I'm just going to now demonstrate. This is on a 19mm cavity, so we're just going to feed that through, and as you'll see what happens. See, even if I screw that down as far as it'll go, we can just push that a little bit further, that fixing will not fix into that cavity. So these are only suitable where there's a cavity greater than about 30mm. And if we look on dot and dab, obviously absolutely impossible. So again, another one redundant. So as you can see on the stud wall, there's plenty of pass there for it to pull back on. But let's just try on the 60mm cavity. It's managed to lock in, so it worked there as well. As you can see, Timco zip tunnel. If you try and fix this into a 19mm cavity, you've got absolutely no chance. And the same goes for the 7mm cavity. So again, there's another fixing that sort of failed on the 4 type to wall test. When I come to these, the Helter Skelter or pigtails as they're known, there's a variety of these. They do these sort of in plastic, and they do some that split open. Obviously, as you can see, they're not going to fit in a 7mm cavity. They would fit into a 19mm cavity, and obviously a metal studded wall and a timber studded wall. Problem with these is you can literally pull these out with your little finger. I'm going to toggle bolts, and obviously for that to draw the end bit in, as you can see, that will work in a studded wall, it will work in a metal studded wall, and then we come to one with 19mm cavity. We're probably pushing it a little bit, but as you can see, we'll push that through and it stops literally about 3mm short. So that would not work, that would fail. And then obviously again, you've got a 7mm cavity, that fixing will not go in. Then come on to these, where you squeeze these in and then they open out. Again, these will work on a studded wall, work on a metal studded wall, and you get to sort of the 19mm sort of cavity. Although we drilled a larger hole here, they would just work. Coming on to the 7mm cavity wall, I'm going to first line the collar in. This is exactly the same collar as used by the long finger version, which is the extra. We're now going to try the universal, and incredibly we're open that little tab. And as you can see, that fixing will actually creep behind there, and these are incredibly strong, and this will take a bespoke screw that allow a bracket of 2mm, as you can see, which is incredibly clever and smart fixing. This fixing can be used on 7mm cavity, it can be used on 19mm cavity, metal studded walls and timber studded walls. So you've got a universal fixing there that can be used in all applications. That's extremely strong, and it's so strong that with just one of those fixings I managed to support my entire weight as a shear load on that particular fixing. This is 100mm backed 12.5mm plasterboard. Bullfix Universal. tap the colour in, tap the fixing in, I'm just going to place this picture up on here. There we go. 12.5mm backed with 25mm polystyrene. Collar, fixing, Bullfix Universal. Picture up fixing.
The only plasterboard fixing that works in all situations. Bullfix Universal Plasterboard Fixings. Simply the best.